Now we are going to understand the various components of government budget. There are two components basically. One is revenue budget and another is the capital budget. Now revenue budget consists of two different aspects. One is revenue receipts and another is revenue expenditure. On the other hand, capital budget consists of two aspects. One is capital receipts and another is capital expenditure. In this, we are going to study what are revenue receipts and capital receipts. Later on, we will study revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Now, revenue receipts are those receipts which do not create any liability on the business. No liability is being created. We are earning the money on regular basis during the governance of the country or of any government. So that is a revenue receipt. And these do not reduce any assets. Means like in case of capital receipts, we are earning money through disinvestment of shares. Disinvestment means we are selling shares of the public sector companies, like we are ready to sell off Air India, we are ready to sell off and many other public sector enterprises. BP Shell is there, Bharat Petroleum is there. So same way there are many other government sector companies or public sector undertakings are there, where in which we are going to reduce down our shareholding, and through that we will be generating money. That type of money is coming under the definition of capital receipts, not the revenue receipts. So capital receipts are reducing the assets available with the government, but revenue receipts are not reducing any assets because they are not being earned by selling off any of the assets of the government. On the other hand, the capital receipts are creating liabilities also, because they are raising the loans, long term loans from various institutions, World Bank, and then Asian Development Bank or various other financial institutions are there, or from domestic financial institution they are raising the loan for carrying out the business activities. But in case of revenue receipts, the money is being earned on regular basis, whatever the money is being earned through regular activities, and they are not reducing any of the assets of the government and also not creating any liability. So that is the basic difference between revenue receipts and the capital receipts. Now moving over to the revenue receipts, from where the revenue receipts are coming. Revenue receipts are coming from two different sources. One is the tax based source and another is a non-tax based source. Now what are the tax based source? Tax based source are are those sources where we imposes various types of taxes and duties for collection of revenues. Now taxes are defined into two different categories. One is a direct tax and another is a indirect tax. Direct tax, in this direct tax the liability lies on to the individual on whom the tax has been imposed. जिससे आपको टैक्स लेना है उसी की liability है, and they have to pay the tax. This burden can't be transferred over to anyone else. Whereas in case of indirect tax, government collects the tax from the seller, but seller finally collects that tax from the consumer by way of increasing the prices of the products. They collect the tax and then deposit into the government's treasury. That is an indirect tax. So in case of indirect tax, the burden on the seller is being transferred over to the customer, whereas in direct tax, no burden can be transferred easily. Okay. Another is the non-tax area from where the revenues are being generated. First thing is the interest. This is the amount of loan which has been given by the government, the central government to the state governments, to the union territories, to private individuals, or to the public sector companies, and from them time to timely basis they are earning the interest, and that is the non-tax revenue receipt for the central government. Another is they are earning profits and dividend. They are having share into the profits and dividend of the public sector companies. Like ONGC every time gives interim dividend or final dividend. Okay. final share out of the profits. Dividend is a share out of the profits. Same way, Reserve Bank has given interim dividend, final dividend. So that is the another non-tax source of revenue receipts. Then there is fees and fines. We pay fees for various things. When we are going for the construction of house, we need a permission, we pay the fees. When it is completed, we pay the fees for getting the completion certificate. Okay, when we buy a vehicle, we pay the registration fees for that. Then we pay the insurance premium fees for to the government. Okay, then we are paying toll taxes, we are paying. Okay, then we are paying challan, which is being charged on us as a fine for breaking law and order. So that is the fees and fines. Then there is grant from other nations, like World Bank has given some grant, or America has recently given us a grant to fight with corona. So that is the another source of revenue receipt. Okay, then escheat is there. Escheat is that money which comes which is being owned by government only when somebody dies without leaving a will. So whatever the property belongs to that individual becomes the property of the government, and government can earn revenue out of that. And then there is a special assessment. This special assessment is being done at the times when there is some developmental work going on, and because of that developmental work, the value of the property adjoining to that particular area increases. So government charges a special tax from the owners of the property. That is what the special assessment is. So these are some of the tax based receipts and non-tax based receipts. Now moving over to the capital receipts, the source of capital receipts. First source of capital receipt is that we are doing the recovery of loans. That whatever the loans which we have given to various agencies like state government, union territories, or various other bodies to whom we have given the loan, we are recovering that loan from them for carrying out our activities. That is the first source. Second source is we raises loan from some international agency or commercial banks, domestic commercial banks, from Reserve Bank of India, from various domestic banks or financial institution, or from international banks or financial institution, or from some international governments. We are raising the money, that is the loan and the borrowing. And then there is disinvestment in public sector undertakings. Disinvestment means selling up of the shares of a public sector company. Okay, by that we are reducing our burden of being part of governance in that public sector company, and also we are generating money out of that business for carrying out the activities, governance activities of the government. So that is how we are going to raise the capital receipts.